I want to get started here and talk about some of these because I know there's some questions that I'm going to pose to y'all that I think are going to be very beneficial to everybody. We talked about words that generate positive or negative feelings. And here's where some of that little reaction button down there might come in handy if you want to. What about the word leadership? What does the word leadership do for you? Does it react? Does it give you a positive or a negative? And feel free to speak up or to send up an emoji or whatever you want to do. But I'd love to have your input on what the word leadership means, what it does to you.
Responsibility.
Okay.
Pressure.
Is that positive or negative?
If you screw up, it's negative because you can say one thing and impact somebody's entire day. I used to have a GM that was just absolutely heinous. And I would tell him, don't talk to my sales team. Let me do it. Because if you do it, I'm going to have them at a bar talking to each other on a phone all afternoon. I'm going to lose a whole half day of work. So, just it's a lot of responsibility with stuff that comes out of your mouth.
Okay. That's one perspective on leadership. Yeah. There's responsibilities and best way to stay off the skyline is don't be in a leadership position, just be a snuffy. How about anybody else? Positive, negative leadership?
You're in charge. If you're the leader, you're in charge.
Is that good?
Somebody's got to lead. Somebody's got to be at the top that has a plan. And then that's where I feel some leaders, to your point, you're great, you're a superstar, you're great, let's promote them. So it's the Peter principle. You're being promoted to your level of incompetence, and that's where you're going to be. But you never know where that is, and they keep promoting you, but you don't have a plan. And it's just paper, or check boxes that you're marking off, and you rise.
Okay, true or false? Simple statement. It's good to have leadership in your organization. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, that sounds good. Leadership is a good thing. Can it ever go wrong? That's a rhetorical. I want to share the screen with you for a minute, show you a different example to look at leadership, maybe from a little different way.
1961 Ferrari 250 GT, California. Less than 100. I spent 3 years restoring this car. It is his love. It is his passion. It is his fault he didn't lock the garage. Paris, what are you talking about? Paris, my father loves this car more than life itself. A man with priorities so far out of whack doesn't deserve such a fine automobile. No. Apparently, you don't understand. Wow, Ferris, he never drives it. He just rubs it with a diaper. Hey, remember how insane he went when I broke my retainer? Huh? Come on, that was a little piece of plastic. This is a Ferrari. Que bella. Cameron, I'm sorry, but we can't pick up Sloan in your car. Mr. Rooney would never believe Mr. Peterson drives that piece of shit. Shit. It is a piece of shit. Don't worry about it. I don't even have a piece of shit. I have to envy yours. Oh, thanks. Look, I'm sorry. There's nothing else we can do. He knows the mileage, Ferris. He doesn't trust you? Never has, never will. Look, this is real simple. Whatever miles we put on, we'll take off. We'll drive home backwards. No. No!
Did we just see an example of leadership?
Yeah, leadership is influence. I think he influenced his friend.
Yeah. Leadership is influence. That's what John Maxwell says. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Who was the leader in that scene?
Ferris.
Ferris Bueller. Yeah, definitely leading. Cameron, Ferris is a leader. There was a mission to be accomplished, wasn't there? What was that mission? To get the car. Now, here's the question. Was Cameron in that clip, the guy in the Red Wings jersey, was he persuaded to let Ferris take the car?
I would say not.
I would say not. He was complaining, let's get a Cadillac, my treat, and he finally got in the car, but he got in the car. So he really wasn't persuaded. Now, here's the question. Does leadership require persuasion? Is that a defining factor in a leadership experience where you have to persuade somebody to do something?
Usually.
Okay, Mike, I have a question for you.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Come on, Abby. Okay, this was a gift from the coach, so this is a big deal. Okay, so it's the end of the championship round. You guys are deadlocked at 0-0. So that brings you up a shootout, right? Okay.
PK shootout.
You got about 30 seconds now to get those girls on the women on the field to do the PK shoot, a penalty kick shootout. You know who you want to kick, right?
Correct.
And one of the seniors comes up and says, "Hey, listen, this might be my last game. I'd like to try the kick. I'd like to," and you know that she just doesn't have that skill, but she'd like to be one of the penalty kickers. And the consequences of her maybe losing the NC2A championship. Is it a time to be persuading anybody in anything when you're getting ready to put the shooters on the field for the penalty kick?
Usually at that point, we want to execute the plan.
Yeah, we want to kind of keep a plan. So there's no persuasion taking place. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let's win the game. Okay. So there are environments where leadership does not involve persuasion. So even though persuasion didn't take place with Cameron and Ferris, it was still leadership. I mean, you think about a crisis situation where there's a school shooter. We're not talking about persuasion here. Okay. We're not going to persuade anybody unless it's to get the school shooter to put the weapon down. But if the decision is get out of the room now, get off the campus now, and somebody goes, "Well, wait a minute, because I was just working on a thing over here," you just grab them by the collar and you get them out. Okay, so persuasion is not necessarily always a required element in leadership. What sort of influence, Mike, you mentioned leadership's influence. What sort of influence was employed by Ferris to accomplish the mission?
He was leveraging his relationship with Cameron. I mean, Cameron was going along with it only because Ferris is his best friend or he just couldn't tell no.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So would you say peer pressure would be a label for that?
That's good.
Yeah, peer pressure. So that was the influence that took place there. Sometimes that's a positive technique. I mean, maybe you have someone on a team that's just not getting it done. And I mean, we've all had that situation. So sometimes that change in approach or peer pressure or something like that can help. There's one big thing missing in this scene. Now, it was leadership, but it was very similar to a lot of the less than optimal leadership that we see taking place in business. If the maxim is true that says the mission always comes first, but the welfare and the development of our people never comes second. What was missing in our Ferrari scene with Ferris Bueller? Which of those two issues? Mission? They had a mission, right? What they were missing there was the caring part. What did Ferris care about what was going to happen to Cameron? Did he? Not at all. Now, we all know what happened to the Ferrari at the end, right? That was a great example of what we're seeing in leadership today. And I got to admit that I was part of it as a young midshipman, as a young wannabe second lieutenant in the Marine Corps. I was a Marine, it's you get the mission done. It's get it done. Always get it done. And that's where my hero came into play, John Ripley. John Ripley was a Navy Cross, not a winner, but a recipient. But his mission, the one thing that he taught us more than anything else, is that your mission always comes first. But you've got to make sure that the welfare of your people never comes second. And what I see so much in the clients that I deal with, that's what it comes down to addressing. It's not, these are hard charging people. They want to get the job done, and they know how to work hard, and they know how to work long hours, and they know how to work in lousy conditions. But what they tend to have fallen short on is caring about the development of their people. So with that in mind, I'd like to posit that leadership, while it's a positive word most of the time, I mean, you think about it, take a look around at the number of places that have taken the word leadership and applied it to their title. The Leadership Church, the Leadership Real Estate Agency. We're the Leadership Bank. And virtually every chamber of commerce that you go look at is going to be the Leadership Chamber of Commerce. Okay, it happens everywhere. It's a great word. Another one of those words that elicits that positive response in me is bacon. Bacon's a very positive sort of thing, but the reality of it is Ferris demonstrated leadership, but was that a positive sort of thing taking place? Is that what you'd want to be taking place in your garage? So what we've got is leadership can be positive, it can be negative. Any of you physics majors? I'm thinking no. Paul, what'd you major?
Biology.
Okay, well, you're the closest to a scientist probably that we have.
I'm wearing glasses.
I got glasses. That's amazing. I flunked out of zoology. Being a biology person, I think everybody's familiar with Stephen Hawking.
Right.
He basically published a theory called entropy. And I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you explain to us what entropy is, Paul?
I think entropy is chaos.
That's it. Take over. I'm out of here. That's exactly right. Let me expand on that just a little bit, but that would be that's the definition I would go with.
Just like we rehearsed, right?
It's
Yeah. Okay.
just like the retirement party, exactly like it. Entropy. When I looked up entropy, I found Stephen Hawking's definition, and the first one is the thermodynamic. And I'm surprised you didn't read this off, Paul. It's the thermodynamic quantity representing the unavailability of a system's thermal energy for conversion into mechanical work, often interpreted as a degree of disorder or randomness in the system. It has to do with, this is also a guy that invented, or he didn't invent black holes, he discovered a black hole. But Paul put it in a very succinct manner. Chaos, it's chaos. And the principle is that chaos happens all by itself.
Isn't the other term shit happens? Isn't that?
And Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
This is a corollary to Murphy's Law, that if anything can go wrong, it will. The entropy corollary that says it will happen, just plan on it if you don't make sure it doesn't. And that's where we're going here. Think about your house. Think about your flower beds. Think about your soccer pitch. My coach, you're going to go to that championship round. You're going to go to the championship match, and you're stepping onto this field that is impeccably groomed. It is just amazing because it's going to be on television. You're going to have soccer players run up and down on it, and it is so pretty and so well groomed. You almost don't want to step on it because you're going to bend the grass. Imagine after the soccer match is all over, the soccer season ends, they fire the lawns and turf guy, and no attention is given to that soccer pitch for 6 weeks. What's it going to look like at the end of 6 weeks?
It's definitely not going to be the beautiful pitch that we walked up to.
No, it won't.
So, yeah, it'll be weeds. It'll be weeds. It'll be disease. It'll be, all kinds of stuff.
And the principle is nobody went out there and put the weeds on it. It's just that it didn't get any attention. And that's the same principle from the standpoint of leadership. The point is that leadership despises a vacuum. Let's talk about a great leader, probably the greatest leader ever. This leader had a presence, a physical presence, some physical, tangible presence in his ministry for 3 years. 3 years. He had 12 guys on his team. And then his presence changed. And 2,000 years later, there are like 23 billion Christians they're just, Christians are everywhere. He's still having an influence. That's very, very positive. Very good. Okay. Jesus Christ. Let me tell you about
I thought you were talking about Bill Steer.
Bill Steer. Well, same thing, but he didn't have 23 billion. I think I'm talking about the people he influenced.
That was his income.
Not the money he had in the bank. But Bill Steer was the CEO of Pfizer, started out as a pharmaceutical rep, just like the rest of us did. He actually hired my boss who hired me. I'm actually a Bill Steer legacy. That's the only reason why I was around for the longest time. But let's talk about another guy. This is another leader. His reign was shorter than Jesus's. He had about 13 years in doing his thing. But during that time frame, in the process of 13 years, he amassed a following of 13.6 million people. 13.6 million people in 13 years. Now, he no Jesus Christ, but he was a very effective leader, and I don't think you can argue that. Anybody know what his name was?
Adolf Hitler.
Adolf Hitler. Very effective leader. Okay. The point I'm making is that leadership can be positive or negative. It can be terrible. Charlie Manson, Adolf Hitler. It can be wonderful. Tim Tebow and Jesus Christ. So that's where that entropy comes into play. But here's the principle behind the entropy. If you don't provide positive leadership to an organization based on the principle of entropy, what's going to happen? It's going to be negative.
It's going to go south.
It's going to go south. And that's what will come in to fill it. And so our principle here is that if you're looking to bring leadership to an organization, you have two options. And I give a talk called Leadership's Dirty Little Secrets. And one of the three dirty little secrets is if you want to bring leadership into an organization, you don't have to pay a dime. It's a $260 billion a year industry, but you don't have to pay a dime. All you got to do is leave it alone, and leadership will come in, and you'll get that terrorist. You'll get that person that comes in. You'll get that Ferris Bueller. They'll come in, and then what happens if you don't pay in time and resources and finances and effort to bring positive leadership into an organization? You're going to have to pay it later. It's a pay me now or pay it later, because then imagine the damage that you've got to recover from without leadership.